Welcome to episode 2 of Lunging Basics. Today we are going to talk about the lunging surcingle and also how to set up a bridle to be lunged in. It is raining outside today, so we are in the barn, and we also have Miss Top here with us, and she is going to be our model for today. So anytime I talk about lunging and we start putting surcingles and riggings on, I want to make sure that everybody understands that when you start putting side reins, Vienna reins, Pessoa system, butt ropes, anything, you can cause a lot of damage to your horse if you do it incorrectly. It can be very unsafe for you. It can be very unsafe for your horse. So make sure that you're reaching out to a trusted professional to teach you exactly how to put things on and work directly with you and your horse to keep everybody safe. So what is a lunging surcingle? It's pretty simple. There's this piece of fabric here with a bunch of rings on it. This is a lunging surcingle. So there are multiple different styles of this. This is a pretty basic one. This is just has some cotton on the bottom for some padding, and then it has a bunch of rings down the side. This side and this side are completely the same, identical. Once we have the surcingle on top of the horse, I'll show you a little bit more about what each of these rings do, but at the most basic understanding, it is to attach the lunge line or the lunging rigs to, so you can help the horse find a stretch or kind of simulate your reins. So your lunging surcingle comes with a matching girth, and this is what is going to be more of the size difference between the horse and the pony size. So this is the pony size one. It's quite short, but the nice thing about a lunging surcingle is that you can attach a regular dressage girth, or I have my horse size surcingle and I can put the horse size girth with this one because they're the same brand. Pretty sure they're the exact same surcingle, just two different sizes. The other thing you're going to need with your lunging surcingle is a saddle pad. And it can be a dressage pad like this one, or it can be a close contact pad. You can even use a half pad as long as it's giving some kind of cushion to the surcingle across the horse's back. So when you're ready to put on your surcingle, what you're going to do is just put your pad up and over the horse's back, just like you would for when you have a saddle on. Then you're going to put the surcingle right across their back, right behind the withers. It can be slightly on the withers, but you don't want to be too much on the withers because that can create kind of a pressure point, and we don't want that. It should line up with your straps on your saddle pad. You're going to go ahead and put the surcingle through those straps just to keep things nice and secure. The two double rings here on top should be right across her spine. When you've got that done, now it's time to attach the girth. You're going to attach the girth just the same as you would any kind of girth onto a saddle. You're going to go through the straps and hook it through the buckles. Now, once you have the surcingle hooked up to your girth, you're pretty much done hooking up your surcingle. There's not a whole lot to it. It's very similar to tacking up with a saddle, just a little bit less material. Now, this big ring is going to be the one that I use most often. Occasionally, I will attach like a butt rope to these double rings. My Pessoa will attach up here, and occasionally I will attach my lunge line up here. I don't typically use these rings very often. It's mostly these two, but this big ring is probably the one that I attach to most often of all of them. So the only ring that is missing when I'm using my dressage girth is when I have the surcingle girth, I have a ring right here, and you can attach some of the rigging to it. It's not really a big deal because most of the things that will attach between their legs and onto the girth will either attach to this ring, or it'll create a loop that will go around the girth, kind of like a martingale. So once you have the surcingle on, you're ready to put the bridle on. So you're going to put your bridle on just like you normally would, but you're going to stop when you get to the throat latch. Now, you have a couple different options. If you're going to be lunging your horse a lot, you can just take the reins off because you don't need them. However, if you're going to like lunge right before a ride, or you're lunging and riding pretty consistently, you can just tie your reins up so they're out of the way and they're not going to get caught around a hoof. How you're going to do that is you're going to take your reins and you're going to start twisting them from the middle. And you're just going to twist them until they twist up and they're kind of tight up into their throat latch. And you can twist them as much as you want. Now, you're going to have a hole right in the middle. What you're going to do is you're going to take your throat latch and you're going to put that right through that hole and then attach your throat latch as you normally would. Now what that does is it just keeps the reins up and out of the way so she can drop her head all the way to the ground or lift it up high. It never tightens and it doesn't loosen. That way she can't step on it and break your reins. Then what you're going to do is grab onto your lunge line and you're going to attach your lunge line to the bit. Now, one thing that's important is to keep on your buckle of your bit, make sure the buckle is facing out. I have had buckles facing in before and they can catch and they can release, which is not a fun experience for anybody. So make sure your buckle is facing out. You can attach directly to the bit, or you can take your lunge line, you can bring it up through the bit, over the horse's head, and then attach it on the other side. What this does is it creates a little bit more of a secure attachment to your horse. Now, one of the downsides of having your lunge line attached directly to the bit like this is that if you have a bit that, like I've seen them a lot with like loose ring snaffles or a bit that doesn't quite fit properly, when they pull on the lunge and they're trying to move out away, what happens is you can actually bring this bit and kind of pull it through their mouth a little bit. So you want to make sure you have a properly fitted bit, and you want to make sure that if you're going to attach to the bit, you're not having a horse that's going to yank and pull on you to bring that bit through their mouth. So one of the ways you can attach your lunge line to your surcingle is you're going to take your lunge line, take the buckle from the outside of the bit going in toward their jaw, and you can slide it back to attach to this large ring back here, like that. Now be aware, if you're going to attach your lunge line like this, you will need to have a horse that lunges very well around the circle. If they are a horse that likes to spin around on you, this can kind of cause some issues. So you want to make sure that your horse lunges very nicely before you start changing how you're attaching the lunge line from the bit to the surcingle. Now, another popular thing to do is when you have a horse that you are working with long lining on. And that is if you want to put a driving rein on your horse. When you put a driving rein on, you're going to just kind of do the opposite. So your lunge line goes through the big buckle from the back side to the front side and attaches right up to the bit. What this does is it mimics a rein, so you can kind of walk behind them at a safe distance so you're not going to get kicked. You can walk behind them with two lines. You'd put one on this side and one on the other side, and you can essentially drive your horse and teach them how to walk kind of out on their own. Now in the next episode, what we're going to talk about is how to put on side reins. We're going to talk about Vienna reins, and we're going to talk about the SOA system. Once again, this is not a video for you to just go ahead and go do it. This is just information of what each of the equipment is and how to properly put it on your horse. You need to work with a trusted professional to actually put them on your horse if you've never used them before. If you have used them before, make sure you start slowly. Make sure your horse doesn't ever feel trapped, and make sure your horse has a very good go button on the lunge. Your horse should always be moving forward and not get in a backward situation. So that was episode 2. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. I will also take any kind of ideas for including into next episodes. And until then, we'll see you later.